Today's Scambaiting video is a real mishmash of scams, old and new, most of which went nowhere, so I suppose this is episode something of the scammers who dumped me. Except there's this other scammer who just won't go away. So let's go scambaiting. There is one scammer that I baited years and years ago that still keeps on doggedly trying to run the scam. I thought for a while the continual stream of emails was automated, and whilst they do repeat a bit, they also do contain small variations that I think probably indicates a human hand. For those of you tempted to say this is just ChatGPT writing them, I should probably mention that this stream of emails has been ongoing for well over 6 years at this point, but it looks like it might be reaching some sort of turning point. This is the last and irrevocable communication concerning your pending transaction. You've repeatedly failed to complete your obligation despite being given multiple payment reminders, generous grace periods, direct instructions, full clarity and transparency. You have not responded nor complied. This has been officially noted and logged. Your case file has entered non-recoverable closure status. All entitlements and claims attached to your name are permanently void. Your record will be archived under failed beneficiary, refused final obligation. Your name will be flagged across our internal systems as ineligible for future consideration. There will be no exceptions, no reactivation, and no further correspondence. If this deadline passes with no action, your record will be locked permanently. This is no longer a warning. This is a formal administrative closure. Do not contact this office after the deadline. No one will respond. Do not expect a reversal. None will be granted. Do not attempt to negotiate. This case is beyond negotiation. This opportunity is ending. What you do in the final hours is your legacy in this matter. Well, sounds pretty final, right? Wondering if it was? Well, no, because a month or so later. I hate all this delay, to be frankly with you. Space comma. In my life, I never start anything that I can never finish. Space comma. All your transaction information was sent to you, and still yet you continue with silent after your initial response. Space comma. If you're not sure of this transaction, then here, where you can email them concerning your funds worth, space comma. I have given you the opportunity to receive your funds, but it seems like you don't want to cooperate, space comma. Moreover, I look forward to hear from you as soon as you receive this email to ratify every hindrance and release your funds, space comma. Let us know your obligation to receive your funds and how you desire to pay the charges involved, and I assured you that within 24 hours you will confirm your funds with you, space comma. I received this email, which is a scam story I've seen so many times, but one detail is missing. See if you can guess what it is as I read it. Dear beloved, I hope this message finds you well. My name is Mrs. Lisa W. Wilder, the widow of the late Warren William Wilder. I'm an Indonesian-American citizen, and my husband worked with PChem Petronas Chemicals Group for 20 years before passing away in 2016. We were married for 10 years but did not have any children. My husband died after a brief illness, and since his passing, I've chosen not to remarry or have a child outside our matrimonial home. During his lifetime, we deposited $15.2 million in a bank, the details of which I will provide later. This bank has recently contacted me as the beneficiary, requesting that I either come forward to claim the funds or authorise someone to do so on my behalf. Unfortunately, I'm currently undergoing treatment for esophageal cancer, and my doctors have informed me that I only have a few months left to live. It is my deepest wish that these funds be distributed to charitable causes. My husband's relatives and friends have already taken advantage of much of my wealth during my illness, and I cannot bear the thought of entrusting this responsibility to them. Therefore, I am seeking an honest individual to help secure these funds from the bank and distribute them to the poor, orphanages, widows, and other charitable organisations. I've made this decision because I have no children to inherit the money, and I do not want my husband's hard-earned wealth to fall into the wrong hands. I do not want these funds to be misused, so I'm taking this step with a clear conscience. I'm prepared for whatever the future holds and not afraid of death, as I know where I will go when the time comes. However, due to my health, I'm unable to communicate by phone, as my illness has affected my throat. I would prefer to communicate via email. What the scammer actually means here is they couldn't possibly pull off a voice that they feel matches the name Lisa. Once I receive your response, I will provide you with the contact details of my lawyer, who is familiar with the unclaimed funds and my situation. Additionally, I will send you the bank information and a letter authorising you to assist in claiming the funds. Please rest assured that these funds are in no way related to terrorist financing, money laundering or drug-related activities. Nobody asked. The transfer will follow all proper legal protocols and will be accompanied by the necessary documentation, ensuring you will not face any issues with the relevant authorities. You can reach me through my private email or share your email address with me for further communication. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Mrs. Lisa W. Wilder. Now, did you spot the missing detail? Hank did and replied to ask, "Was your husband an engineer?" Yes, replied the scammer, because the dead husband is always an engineer in these stories. It's just the way it has to be. Hank replied, I thought so. It's a profession that often leads to this exact outcome. The scammer didn't reply anymore after this. HSBC is back. Attention, dear beneficiary, we would like to know your position regarding your pending transaction with our office. Kindly inform us how you intend to send the required fee so that we can finalise the process once and for all. Please note that the total amount required is $150, and we have not yet received any response from you. Let us know if you'll be sending the payment today so that we can complete your transaction without further delay. Meanwhile, this. Attention, your first payment of $8,000 is available for pickup by Western Union. Then various money transfer nonsense. Contact the payment officer to activate the payment code EB2520 with $105 and add your name as the receiver to enable you to start receiving your payment $8,000 every day. Okay, so reply with EB2520. That seems pretty clear. Something about money was not quite so clear to Hank, and so he just replied EB2520. The scammer replied, contact the payment officer to activate the payment code EB2520. In fact, this is the same as the first email. So Hank responded, EB2520. Not understanding, said the scammer. EB2520, explained Hank. I'm going to cancel your fund today, thanks, the scammer threatened. EB2520, said Hank, then asked, EB2520? The scammer answered this question with, Good morning, how are you doing today? For your question, EB2520 is your payment code that you need to activate with $105 before you will start receiving your payment, $8,000 every day. So if you understand and if you're ready for it, go immediately and send $105 to us, thanks. So Hank said, EB2520 and EB2520. But the scammer never replied. I received this email almost entirely in shouty caps. I will not, however, attempt to read it in a shouty voice. The Presidency Office of the Chief Auditor to the President, International Credit Settlement Department, Federal Ministry of Finance. Attention email owner. This is to officially inform you that we have verified on your contract/inheritance file and found out that why you have not received your payment is because you have not fulfilled the obligations given to you in respect to your contract/inheritance payment. Secondly, we have been informed that you are still dealing with the non-officials in the bank, so such illegal act like this have to stop if you wishes to receive your payment, since we have decided to bring a solution to your problem, comma with no space. Right now we have arranged your payment through our Swift Card Payment Center Asia Pacific. That is the latest instruction by the President, Chief, European Union, United States of America, singular, stroke Asian country, singular, stroke ECOWAS African Union, space, full stop. This card centre will send you an ATM card which you will use to withdraw your money in any ATM machine in any part of the world, but the maximum is $4,000 per day. So if you like to receive your fund this way, please let us know by forwarding the following information. And of course, it's the information you should never share. The ATM Card Payment Centre has been mandated to issue out $10.5 million. For your information, you have to stop any further communication with any other persons or offices. This is to avoid any hitches in finalising your payment. As soon as you receive this important message, for more direction on this regards how to contact the Swift Card Consult Payment Centre for immediate issuing of your ATM card, note that because of imposters, we hereby issue you our Code of Conduct, which is (303). So you have to indicate this code in all future correspondence. I love that scammers think a code of conduct is just a numeric code. And I also love how this thing attempts to invoke the authority of basically everyone. I didn't even know there was a President-Chief of the EU, United States of America singular, Asian country singular, and African Union. But the part that really caught my eye was the subject of this email, which was Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C., USA. Was there? Hank Bolliday is on the case and will find the answers, or at least ask for them. What's this about? Asked Hank. The scammer replied with an obviously templated request. Dear Hank comma, I have received your email message regards your funds delivery to your home address. Information is required to avoid wrong delivery. And of course it's that kind of information. Do I need to say it? Will do, said Hank. But it was the other matter that I really wanted to hear about. You know, the Immaculate Conception that took place in Washington, D.C. Tell me more about that. The scammer just pasted in the next part of the script. Dear Hank, I will register your ATM card delivery courier company and send you the tracking number. Able you monitoring your ATM card when arrive to your home address is required. And again, the request for information you should never share with a stranger on the internet. Hank complained, why are you talking about phone numbers and addresses and not the thing I asked? But there was no further reply despite a few attempts to continue. Oh look, it's HSBC again. Over to you, space comma. Let me know how long it will take you to send the remaining fee so that we will complete the transaction today, space comma. Because your funds will be cancelled if you fail to send the required fee today, space comma. I am looking forward to hearing from you in order to complete your transaction as soon as you send the required fee, comma with no space. Over to you, space comma. Let me know how long it will take you to send the remaining fee so that we will complete the transaction today, space comma, because your funds will be cancelled if you fail to send the required fee today, space comma. I'm looking forward to hearing from you in order to complete your transaction as soon as you send the required fee, comma. Next, a message from Patricia Ann Hoffman, which is formatted as though it's part of an already ongoing conversation, even though this is the first email I've received from this person. Hi, thank you for the quick reply to my email and for permitting me to talk with you. Firstly, I want to introduce myself. I am Patricia Ann Hoffman, I'm 71 years old and I am an American from Texas, USA. I want to talk to you about my humble intention and desire to make a donation for humanitarian work. Please, it is a burning desire and passion to achieve this dream as fast as possible, but unfortunately my time is too short because of my health condition. I've been suffering and fighting leukemia, cancer of the blood, and my last medical report has confirmed that I have a very short time to live. My desire is to build any of these. 1. Building of a rehabilitation centre for drug-addicted persons. 2. Building of a medical centre to take care of poor old people. 3. Building a free food centre for the less privileged. Please can I trust you to help me achieve this desire and make Here's My Last Wish come to reality. Waiting to hear from you so I can give you more. Regards, Patricia A.H. Hank had some useful advice. I suggest you make the donation ASAP. The scammer carried on with their script. Hello, once again I thank you for your acceptance and the willingness to help me achieve my last wish. As I said in my previous email, the money I want to donate is a total of $3,850,000 United States dollars. The fund is presently with a bank in Abidjan, space comma, Republic of Ivory Coast, where I worked many years as the director of the United States Agency for International Development in Africa, and I had the opportunity to do my private business. Please, if you can help me achieve my dream and make my last wish come true, I request that you send me your personal details so that I can make a declaration that you are my next of kin and the person entitled to receive this fund for humanitarian works and forward to the bank, space, full stop. Then I will give you the contact of the bank so that you will deal with the bank directly and officially as my next of kin for the release and transfer of the fund to your bank account. To the declaration, I need your kind of information you should never share with a stranger on the internet. After the transaction is successfully completed, you will take 20% of the total sum for you and your family. Then you will use the rest of the 80% for humanitarian works as I wished. Please, I'm really counting on you. Attached is a copy of my passport for your verification. Waiting to hear from you. So the lure here is that I supposedly get to keep 1/5 of this dying widow's charitable fund as a payment for helping out. None of it exists, of course, and 20% of nothing is not a lot. Also, thing is, Hank Bolliday doesn't want to help. He wrote, "Why do you need my names?" My names are Henry and Bolliday, by the way. Surely you can just contact the charity and make the donation. In fact, why are we having this conversation at all? The scammer, who wasn't even reading the replies, I think, and just sent the next bit of the script, which is this email and these two lovely attachments, one of which has this border that I think is supposed to look like the sprocket holes in fanfold continuous printer paper. Except it must be one of those fancy two-dimensional printers because the sprocket holes run across the top and bottom too. There's a surprisingly good fake passport, which is probably only good on account of it mostly being an original scan of some presumably stolen genuine document. The only bit that significantly stands out as fake here is the issue and expiry dates, which are not quite the right typeface. Presumably the date on the original scan expired and they had to bodge this into place. The email reads, "Once again, I thank you for your acceptance and the willingness to help me achieve my last wish. As I said in my previous email, the money I want to donate is..." Right, I'm just going to stop you there, Patricia, because I didn't say I would help. I think you can probably do this without my help if you try. Let me know what I can do, as long as it isn't to assist. Patricia replied, "I request that you send me your personal details so that I can make a declaration that you are my next of kin and the person entitled to receive this fund for humanitarian works and forward to the bank." And actually this is just again part of the template. And again asking for personal information. Hank replied, "Yes, but what I'm saying is that there's no need for this. Just give the money to the charity directly. Please confirm you understand this." Patricia, however, did not confirm, so presumably does not understand this. We interrupt this message for a short word from our sponsor, HSBC Scammer. I want you to understand that any money you paid on this transaction should be refunded back to you once we arrived at your home address with your ATM card. Cause other people are making using their funds right now, but you keep delaying yours. I await your response in order to complete this transaction and close the file. Next, Dr. Philip McPaul writes, "Good day. I hereby inform you that we have processed your payment and your ATM card is ready for disbursement. Please understand that your fund is not in liquid form, but in a universal ATM card. The ATM card payment centre has been mandated to issue out of your payment in an ATM card to enable you to receive your fund and start to make use of it in your country, that is, my unspecified country, without any problem. So you are advised to send all your required information to enable you to receive the ATM card worth of $2.5 million. No, wait, $2.5 million thousand dollars. That's $2.5 billion. Many people need these opportunities, but they never have the chance. But here you are, a lucky one. You are required to choose and option, which you will be able to pay, also convenient for you, comma with no space, for quick delivery of your parcel containing your ATM card and other 2 original backup documents." Then there were 3 different delivery options for me to receive this supposedly preloaded ATM card worth $2.5 billion. As I understand it, the reason they offer these choices is that it makes the victim feel like they're in control. And of course, they wanted the kind of information, you know the kind. We are very glad that your ATM card will get to you in order to change your life, but I will also want you to know your ATM card will be delivered through all those 3 delivery services, any one of your choice, and to do what your ATM card needs to be registered with any of this delivery company, and I will like you to choose the delivery service you like to use for the delivery. Trailing comma. So you have to choose between them and let us know immediately, and your ATM card will be dispatched within 2 hours as we confirmed your payment at the same time, comma with no space. We will email a new invoice to you with a tracking number, comma with no space. You can track your shipment of your ATM card online within 48 hours. Since you received it, full stop, no space, no capital, you may choose to send the payment through Apple Card, iTunes Card or Steam Wallet. Hank inquired, "There's something I don't understand. Why are the options with more days cheaper? Why do you get less days for more fee? It makes no sense to me." But the answer was not forthcoming. With a lot of these scams, if they don't see signs that you're about to hand over information or money, most of all money, they don't waste their time on you. We'll get back to the scams in a moment after this short break to answer one of your frequently asked questions. And a lot of people have been asking for an update on what happened about the scammer in the last video. Quick recap. The scammer was conversing with Hank Bolliday, but Proton Mail locked me out of my mailbox for suspected spam. The Proton Mail thing is another interesting story all of itself, but not right now. This was right before I was about to go in there and take all the screenshots for making the Scambaiting video, so it was a disaster. I contacted the scammer from a new mailbox on a different service and asked him to send me copies of the whole conversation thread that we'd had. To my surprise and delight, he very compliantly did that, without, of course, understanding what I was going to do with the information. And since this meant I could now make and publish the video, I sent the scammer some money in the form of a gift card. He continued trying to scam me for a bit, but then eventually admitted he was a scammer. Not everybody agreed with my choice to pay the scammer for services he'd accidentally rendered to me. Some people disagreed quite violently. Some people said I'd been scammed, which is kind of ridiculous since I explicitly chose to send money, and which money I knew all along would be some tiny fraction of the income I've since made on the video about the scam, which never would have happened without him sending me all those email threads. So in a sense, that money I sent was just an admin expense for me. Anyway, I continued chatting with the guy after the video, via WhatsApp on my burner phone. I'm not going to share everything that happened, but he made absolutely no further attempts to scam me or ask me for more money. He video called me to show his face. I kept a bit of black tape over the camera at my end. He's just a young lad in his early 20s, I'd say. He lives in a town in Anambra State, Nigeria. He showed me his street in the video call. We chatted later in text about the weather and other trivial matters. We talked for a bit about scamming. He said he was pretty new at it. He said he had to hide our conversation from his boss as he didn't own the phone on which he was chatting with me. This, if true, obviously raises concerns about the potential for me to trigger some tangible harm to him, which I would not wish to do even to a scammer. So we talked a bit about that too, and he wanted to keep talking. He said he wasn't being held captive or anything, but from what he described to me, it sounded like he wasn't exactly free either. He said he could leave at any time but had nowhere else to go. He said he got into scamming because he felt it was the only way he could make money to live. He said his father was gone and his mother unable to support him, and that he had worked for a while as a bricklayer, but the boss in that job had never paid him because he didn't have any family to back him up. How much, if any of all of that is true, we'll never know. Many people will dismiss this as a sob story, and maybe that's what it is. Or maybe he just didn't bother to try hard enough to find honest work. Maybe it's embellished truth, maybe it's closer to truth, or maybe it's exactly the truth.
To put this in context, here's the approximate locality. The Google Street Map car didn't drive down every road in every town in Anambra State. In fact, most of the map is not covered. So we're almost certainly looking at the better and more navigable and probably wealthier and safer roads in that place. There's a lot of human activity here, including people buying, selling, working, but there is clearly also hardship here too. I mean, absolutely no disrespect to the people who live here, but I think it would be foolish not to wonder if this is a place where someone could potentially find themselves in a desperate situation that they just can't climb out of by their own hard work and determination. I'm inclined to believe that even if his story wasn't true for him personally, it's a story that's almost certainly being played out that way for some people in that place, much more often than it does where I live. Poverty doesn't ever make scamming right or just, of course, so don't imagine I believe that. But in a messed up situation, people do messed up things. Scamming is seen by some as a career choice, in places where other honest career choices are a less reliable source of essential income. That's just a bad situation. It would obviously be better if it were not like that, but the individuals in the system can't necessarily exert very much power and influence to change the whole system.
In the end, I suppose it doesn't much matter what I believe or don't believe. The guy didn't try to scam or exploit me after the game was up, but that doesn't wipe out the fact that he did try to scam me while the game was afoot. He may have been lying throughout the whole of our post-scam conversation, but there was no intent or pressure evident in the whole of the rest of our communication, which eventually tailed off, and after a month or so past the video, that was that. We didn't stay in touch. In conclusion, I don't really have a conclusion about this matter. It gave me quite a few things to think about, and I will be thinking about them. Let's get back to the current round of scammers. Things are getting really final now with HSBC. This serves as a final reminder regarding the completion of your transaction. Please let me know exactly how long it will take you to send the remaining required fee so that we can finalise your transaction today without further delay. Be advised that your funds will be cancelled and all related processes terminated if the required payment is not received today. We have made every necessary arrangement for the release of your funds immediately after confirmation of your payment. I strongly encourage you to act now to avoid any interruption or cancellation of your transaction. Once your payment is confirmed, everything will be completed and your funds released without hesitation. I await your urgent response and confirmation of payment today. I've actually lost count of how many times it's been final now. Next, a real blast from the past. A scam where the objective appears to be to kidnap the victim. Attention! This is to inform you that you are now going to receive your fund in their affiliate office in Japan Payment Center. Hence, presently, I have gotten a sponsor from Japan who is willing to cater for the expenses on your behalf since you are unable. Note, the sponsor will be taking 10% out of the total sum, $40 million US dollars, after your fund must have transferred into your account. The conditions mentioned in the payment arrangement are shortlisted below. 1. You will travel to Brazil first to meet with the sponsor for shopping. Then the sponsor will buy you gifts items which you will give to the officials in Japan Payment Center, where you will sign your documents as the beneficiary as soon as you arrive in Japan. 2. No more upfront payment required from you as the beneficiary. 3. Your flight tickets will be catered by the sponsor. 4. Your hotel reservation accommodation will be provided by the sponsor. 5. Your journey/trip to Japan, your payment center will not take more than 3 days to finalise your payment. 6. Your duty is to provide your valid passport and readiness to fly to the paying centre at no expenses from you, as you need no visa. Note, you are travelling to Brazil, first to collect all the gifts items from the sponsor, then proceed to their affiliate office in Japan, their payment centre, to meet with the officials for the final release of your fund. Be mindful you are also travelling to the Payment Centre Japan to sign all the necessary documents that back up your claim as the beneficiary. As soon as you sign all the necessary documents that back up your claim, the officials will then now have the full official right to release your fund to you as the beneficiary without any further delay. 7. Send your current and direct telephone number and your contact address. 8. Send your international passport. Therefore, upon receipt of your details, the investor will send your flight ticket to you without delay. Congratulations. I will come over there in your country to meet with you for my own percentage, as we have agreed after your fund must have been transferred into your account. Get in touch with me through my email. Thanks for your understanding, Barrister Innocent Motti. Haven't seen one of these for a while. I mean, it might not be an actual kidnapping thing. It might be that somewhere along the line they ask for a fee, or actually that they just want some copies of passports to use in other scams. Hank asked, "So what's this all about?" But there was no reply. HSBC returns. Please take my word. Your ATM card will be delivered to you immediately after we confirm receipt of the required fee. Kindly note that all other charges have already been settled on your behalf by the authorities. The only remaining amount to be paid is $150 US dollars. Once we confirm your payment today, the ATM card will depart for delivery the same day. Next, a scam from Human Hope Resources, or is it the Bank of Scotland? Greetings, beneficiary. We have been instructed this day by the concerned authority to have your funds release protocol completed. Contrarily, the fund will be delivered unserviceable by the bank. Okay, this whole thing is written in CamelCase, and from here on I'm going to stop trying to read it in that style because it just hurts. Kindly note that these funds were generated by the United States government from the World Bank due to the rate of deceptions out there in the world. The United States governments have filed a case against some countries' government and all other individuals involving in scam activities. After the case has been taken to court, the law court gave orders that these countries' government and all individuals to release the total sum of $2 billion United States dollars, only which was tagged unclaimed fund. Therefore, the funds have been released from the World Bank to Bank of Scotland, to have the fund released with an immediate effect. The United States government has chosen Bank of Scotland to inform the rightful beneficiary, and your name and email address was also found on our list. The time frame is very short, and technically hand delivery is the fastest means of getting this done, so we have reverted to status through means of United Nations Courier Service. This $5.5 million, which is on your name, can only be delivered to you via hand-to-hand delivery. Not quite sure my hand is strong enough to lift $5.5 million. To this end, we request that you reconfirm your information to ensure accurate delivery of your fund. And, of course, they're asking for the usual information, including my name, which they supposedly already know, but interestingly haven't mentioned anywhere. And he goes on. Mr. Philip Richard, 2 first names. Hank replied, right, because I thought so. What now? But again, no response from the scammer. So those are all the scammers that dumped me, but one scammer that refuses to dump me is HSBC. I hope this message finds you well. I'm writing to follow up on your pending transaction. Our records show that a small balance remains outstanding before we can finalise the release of your funds. Please let us know your expected payment date so we can keep your file active and ensure a smooth completion. Once payment is confirmed, we'll immediately proceed with the final steps and notify you of the release. Thank you for your cooperation, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you need any clarification or assistance. I received this interesting email. Read a solution to our victim payments claim. All victims, please read and share with others to learn from my mistakes and then claim their victim compensation funds. I am EB252020. Address, Charlotte, North Carolina. In case you wish to verify, for the past 12 years I've been trying very hard to get my victim payment, and my entire efforts ends feeding scammers. I lost all my life savings, including my cars, to scammers in London, Indian, Africans, and even here in the United States of America, singular. I tried with different banks, agents that claimed to be working with payment offices, but it was all in vain. So just to set the scene, this doesn't sound like somebody you should listen to on the subject of scam recovery. I thank God for my paycheck that kept me going until this very God visited me on the 10th of September 2025 through a woman of Pennsylvania, Florida, USA. So Pennsylvania's a place in Florida now, apparently. She emailed me to contact this very barrister to claim my fund and also advised me to stop dealing with those contacting. Honestly, I overlooked it because I thought she may be one of those scammers. But when God wants to bless, note and withhold. A week later, I got another email from a man of Honolulu, Hawaii, telling me to contact same barrister. Immediately, I decided to make a step of faith to confirm my doubt. And to my greatest surprise, it happened to be 100% real. Before now, I promised myself never to share this until I receive my fund and be convinced, before letting people know. And today, I am writing with joy and advise all victims out there to stop feeding scammers. But contact this barrister on her email address below to get yours. If you haven't, she is very honest, kind, and above all, she's really a godsend to us. The only money required of me was $320, and it was used to obtain a fund permit certificate in my name, which I have the copy. My advice to you and others out there is to stop feeding scammers. I mean, that part is good advice. And contact the barrister to claim yours. I leave her contact email address here. All thanks to her for making me live a good life once again. I am now a happy soul, and also wish you the same. Yours sincerely, EB252020. So this looks like a scam that's designed to try to lure in people who maybe have seen a lot of scams, maybe fallen for a lot of scams, but haven't yet decided that they're all scams. This one works on the pretense that it's real because God confirmed it via 2 random emails. Also, Pennsylvania is apparently in Florida now. Hank Bolliday is on the case, replying, Dear Dee, I think you've got to be more careful. Some woman came to you claiming to be God's messenger, and you think this was confirmed because some other guy emailed you to say the same thing? I think you're dealing with scammers. Be safe, Hank. But no, Denise, the scammer who's almost certainly not called Denise, has an explanation. This barrister is 100% God sent to us. When I got her mail at first, I overlooked it because I thought she may be one of those scammers, but when God wants to bless, nothing stop it. A week later, I got another email from a man of Honolulu, Hawaii, telling me to contact the same barrister. Same blathering nonsense as the original email. Hank replied, "Yes, but what I'm saying is that these two people who emailed you a week apart might just be buddies who decided in advance between themselves to scam you. Do you see how easy that would be? Two people sending you similar emails is not really compelling evidence that God was involved. Have you tried emailing God to confirm?" The scammer wrote back, "Lol, it's now in the past, my friend, because I've already received my long funds." Long funds? After being in contact with the barrister, "I am a living testimony. That's why I'm sharing the message with you so you can claim yours if you haven't. I lost so much to scammers, but through this barrister I recovered all my lost happiness. I recommend you to give her a try to confirm my words." Now, Hank may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but he has a strong sense of fairness, so he responded, "Understood. But here's the problem. You had those two emails from different people to convince you about this. I only have one, yours. See the problem?" The scammer argued, "It's your choice to decide, my friend. Even if you got messages from 10 different people you may still doubt. I got mine because I took a step of faith, and today I'm sharing with you. Give her a try to confirm my words if you wish to claim yours." But Hank counter-argued, "You told me you got yours because you got two emails. It's not fair." The scammer just laughed. "I suppose I'll just have to wait," decided Hank. "Okay," said the scammer. So Hank asked, "How long do you suppose? You only had to wait a week, right?" "A week to do what?" asked the scammer, who had apparently forgotten the details of the scam story. "For the second email that made you believe," Hank explained. "It was easy for you." "It's the Lord's doing," replied Scammer Denise. "When's he going to do it for me?" inquired Hank. "Perhaps he's busy." "Who?" asked the scammer, apparently again forgetting what we were even talking about. "Are you okay?" asked Hank. "It's like you completely lose the thread of the conversation sometimes." "I'm good. It's just that I've been away," replied the scammer. "I can't force you against your decision." "That is true," so Hank said, "I'll continue to await the Lord's confirmation by independent email." Meanwhile, a completely separate scam email arrived. Let's take a look at that. "Dear God-elect, it is my pleasure to have contact with you based on the critical condition I find myself in. Though it's not a financial problem, but my health condition. I am suffering from long-term pancreatic cancer, and you might have known that cancer is a deadly disease, and I don't want my late husband's hard-earned money to be wasted without adding value to the people's life. Though I don't know you, and my contact with you was not by mistake, but by divine favour of God. My name is Mrs. Charitable Daniel, a Switzerland citizen, married to Mr. Leo Daniel, a United States citizen, a contractor, and we reside in the United States. We were married for the 29 years, without a child, before he died. He died after a brief illness that lasted for 5 days. Since his death, I decided not to remarry. When my late husband was alive, he deposited the sum of $10.5 million in my name with the Iowa State Bank of the United States, and the money is currently with the bank. Recently, my doctor told me that I don't have much time to live because of the illness. Having known my condition, I decided to search for someone who will use the money for humanitarian work to help the less privileged people, and that's why I'm contacting you. I want you to utilize this money the way I am going to instruct herein. I want you to take 30% out of the total money for your kind efforts, while 70% of the money will go to charity works for helping the orphanage people. I don't want my husband's efforts to be used by the government, and that's the reason why I want you to use it for humanity's work. I grew up as an orphan, and I don't have anybody as my family member, and I know how it is to be an orphan. I'm doing this so that God will forgive my sins and accept my soul, because this sickness has suffered me so much. As soon as I receive your reply, I shall give you the contact of the bank in the United States to enable you to contact the bank, and I will send an authority letter that will prove you as the present beneficiary of the money in the bank. If you assure me that you will act accordingly, as I stated herein, not for selfish interest to pocket the money, if you can't use the money as stated, please don't bother to reply back." So, very standard, dying, charitable, millionaire widow scam opener. Must have seen it 1,000 times before. But Hank decided this must be the second confirmation email that was awaited, and replied to Mrs. Charitable Daniel, copying in Scammer Denise, "Okay, now this is amazing, because I was waiting to hear something like this, and now I have. Wow. Copying in Mrs. God Bless, because this is related, I know it." There was no reply either from Mrs. Charitable Daniel nor from Scammer Denise, who, by the way, is called Ms. God Bless because that's the start of the scammer's email address. So Hank emailed Scammer Denise to ask, "Did you see the other email I received? I copied you in on my reply. I'm quite excited to get this confirmation." "No, I did not," replied the scammer. Hank wrote, "The email from Mrs. Charitable Daniel. I copied you in on my reply to Mrs. Charitable. I'll send you another copy so you can see the confirmation that's now arrived." This placed the scammer on the horns of one of my favourite dilemmas. They have to somehow dismiss the other scam, without drawing attention to the fact that it's telling a very similar story to their own. Scammer Denise replied, "I was scammed by your so-called Mrs. Charitable Daniel early February this year. They were the people that took the last money I had before I got the contact of the barrister that helped me receive my fund. Be careful, my friend." Hank responded in disappointment, "Wow, that's super weird. I really thought it was the confirmation I was waiting for. I suppose I'll have to keep waiting." A couple of days later, another completely unrelated scam email came in, saying, "Your online banking transfer. This is to inform you officially that we've verified your payment file this morning and find the reason that you've not received your payment is because you've not fulfilled the obligations given to you in respect to your funds. Secondly, we've been informed that you are still dealing with the non-officials in the bank, and all your attempts to secure the release of your fund are still in vain. We wish to advise you that such an illegal act has to stop if you wish to receive your payments, since we have decided to bring a solution to your problems in receiving the funds. This idea is the latest instruction given to this bank by the Federal Ministry of Finance and United Nations Organization. I write this message to inform you that your compensation funds of $10.5 million is deposited in Bank of Africa this morning for wire transfer because bank-to-bank online wire transfer is best and easier way to receive this fund. You are going to receive your funds through online banking transfer. To receive your funds through online banking, I want you to contact Bank of Africa with the below email and forward your banking details to them. Just contact the Bank of Africa with below information. You need to reply back to the following information as urgent as possible, and of course requesting the kind of information you should never share with a stranger on the internet. Once again, you have to stop henceforth your further communication with any other person or office regarding this transaction. This is to avoid any hitch or delay in finalising your payment. The transfer of your total sum of $10.5 million will be completed through online banking transfer as soon as possible. Bank of Africa will get back to you and open an online bank account for you to transfer your funds to your personal bank account. You will use your hand to transfer any amount you wish to transfer directly to your personal account, which is good advice. I used to use my tongue for online banking and it just makes a horrible mess of the keyboard. Also note that because of imposters, we hereby issue you our code of conduct, which is BOA-001. You must have to indicate this code while replying back. I do love that scammers have completely misunderstood what a code of conduct is and apparently think it's just an alphanumeric string. I wait for your urgent reply. Yours sincerely, Mr. Peter E. William. 2 first names. Hank replied, again copying in scammer Ms. God Bless, "Thank you, this is the second confirmation I've been waiting for. I'm so excited now." Again, there was no response from either scammer, so Hank wrote to scammer Denise. "Did you see it? I've received the second confirmation email. I copied you in on the reply. Did you see it? Try to look for it." No reply, so Hank pushed a bit. Eventually, scammer Denise replied, "Like I said, it's your choice, my friend." Clearly the scammer was getting tired of this, and Hank had to push again, writing, "I know. Did you see the other email? What's your opinion of it? What should I do next?" The scammer impatiently responded, "I've told you whom to contact if you wish to claim your fund in my first mail. Through her, I received mine, but you decided not to contact her, so the choice is yours, my friend." "Okay," said Hank. "I will contact the barrister. Perhaps she will be able to confirm if the second contact email is from God." "She's always a busy woman," said scammer Denise. "Are you telling me I shouldn't contact her?" asked Hank. "Go ahead if you've decided. Like I said, I received mine through her," said Denise. So Hank wrote to the barrister. I thought it might be fun if he provided zero context for this and just wrote, "Hi there." Barrister Rose replied, "Good evening from here. How may I help you, sir / madam?" Hank responded, still keeping things vague, "I received an email and I wondered if you could tell me if it's genuine. Can you do that?" Barrister Rose said, "As a payment release barrister, I will, if you can explain in your next mail." So Hank forwarded a copy of the email received from Peter William, asking if he should contact Bank of Africa. Apparently not, though, because Barrister Rose replied with this warning. "I have read your forwarded mail, and as a payment release barrister, I hereby advise you to stop further communications with the so-called Peter E. William or Dr. Paul Uber, who claim to be working with Bank of Africa. On my desk I have so many beneficiaries defrauded by Dr. Paul Uber and Peter E. William, therefore any further communication with him is at your risk. The only bank in Africa where victim funds were deposited is UBA Bank, which I was elected as a payment release barrister to handle the transactions, so many have received their fund through me, and I still have so many beneficiaries on the list to complete their transactions." Hank was taken aback by this and wrote, "I don't understand what you're saying. Mrs. Denise Godbless told me to contact you about this, but now you're telling me it's some kind of fraud? Really, I don't know which way to turn now. What would you recommend?" Scam Barrister Rose replied, after going through the completed transaction files on my desk, the only Denise on the September transactions that got her funds through me was Denise EB2520 from Pennsylvania, Florida, USA. Note the weird formatting of Florida here, maybe indicating that these two scammers are really the same scammer and they accidentally added Florida to their autocorrect, or maybe they're two different scammers pasting in that detail from the same source. If you are a victim and you wish to claim your victim fund payment, please let me know, as I'm a very busy woman. Hank asked, victim of what exactly? And on the off chance that these two email accounts are being run by the same scammer at the other end, that affords me, or rather Hank, the opportunity to badmouth them to each other. Hank is a bit of an idiot, and like many idiots, he just thinks all the other people around him are idiots. So he wrote to Denise, Mrs. Godbless, saying, "Hi Denise, I have to say I'm more than a little disappointed about the barrister. She seems to mean well, but is clearly an idiot, and apparently thinks Pennsylvania is a place in Florida, and is now blathering on about victims for no reason at all. Are you sure this is the person that helped you? Because quite frankly, I find it unlikely this person could even tie their own shoelaces. Kind concerns, Hank Bolliday." Hank also wrote to Barrister Rose, saying, "I don't know why you haven't responded, but it hardly matters. Did Denise Godbless tell you some story about me being a victim of some circumstance? If so, I wouldn't set much store in that. She's clearly got some odd thoughts rattling around in her head. There was this whole part of the conversation where she was convinced that a pair of emails from complete strangers was a sign from God or something." Warm business, Hank Bolliday.
I honestly thought that would be the end of the matter, but over the few days it took to start putting this video together, the conversation limped along a bit further. Scammer Denise replied to Hank's complaint that the barrister was an idiot to say, "Yes, she is, and why mentioning my state Pennsylvania, Florida? I was a victim in the past, but after I got the mail with the barrister's contact, I received my victim compensation fund through her. So while contacting her, you will have to tell her you were a victim and you want to claim your fund. She is a God-fearing woman, but so intelligent. Please tell her I, Mrs. Denise Roma Ebi, still appreciate her good work to my life." Hank said, "Pennsylvania, Florida. Right." The scammer said, "Yes." "That's a place, is it?" asked Hank. "In Florida, yes, and that's where I am," explained Scammer Denise. "Can you show me on a map?" inquired Hank. "Map of what?" asked the scammer. "Are you telling me you don't know what a map is?" Hank retorted. "Map for what exactly?" repeated the scammer. This is getting weird, but it's not the first time this particular scammer has just forgotten the previous part of the conversation. At a guess, it might indicate they have a lot of different conversations going on at once, or I suppose it might mean there are multiple different people operating the mailbox, and normally it doesn't matter if they don't know what came before, if they're just plodding through a script. Anyway, Hank said, "A map of the USA, obviously. I would like you to show me the location of Pennsylvania, Florida on a map of the USA." Denise did not answer, or at least hasn't yet answered at the time of this video being finalised. The fake barrister also replied to my earlier question, victim of what, to say, "As already stated in my previous mail, I have so many transactions on files to accomplish to different beneficiaries in different countries who contacted for their claim, so please don't expect my response immediately. If you had ever lost funds to scammers in the past or present, then note a victim compensation payment await you." So I do think this account is a different scammer on the same team, as they were not responding nearly so frequently and promptly as Denise. Hank asked, "What if I've never lost funds to any scammer?" Scammer Barrister Rose wrote, "Then kindly save me the stress of answering your mail. I'm only here to make sure victims/beneficiaries get their compensation funds." "Honestly, it all sounds like nonsense to me," said Hank, "especially the part with the..." I sometimes like to leave the subject out of a sentence like this just to inject a little bit of confusion into the... There was no further response that day, so Hank followed up to Barrister Rose to say, "I'm serious. Denise Godbless doesn't even seem to know where she lives." It then went quiet, and at the time when I had to draw the line and get this video together, that seems to be the end of the conversation, but you never know. If there are any interesting developments past this point, I'll be sure to let you know in a future video. So that's everything for today's video. Thanks for watching, stay safe from scams, and I hope to see you again soon.